In the early 20th century, an unknown large predator terrorized the villages of coastal Tanzania, leaving a trail of victims and baffling the best hunters and colonial officials of the time. This wasn't your average lion or leopard. It was something different. Larger than any known big cat living in the area, covered in coarse, brindled gray fur, and leaving wounds that didn't match those left by any typical predator. It became known as the Nunda, which is Swahili for fierce animal, or also as the Mngwa, which is Swahili for strange one. Importantly, this wasn't just a case of folklore or village rumors. The attacks were so frequent and brutal that British colonial officers had to step in. Therefore, the Nunda was mentioned in official correspondence between British colonial officers and local government authorities. These records often include descriptions of the creature based on eyewitness testimonies, reports of deaths and injuries, and efforts made to capture or kill the predator. The combination of written reports, official records of deaths and injuries, hunting expeditions, and medical assessments creates a credible and well-documented case for the Nunda's rampage. This is one of the most enduring and well-documented mysteries of unknown predators in African history. The first documented attacks began in the early 1900s, around small fishing villages along the coast of Tanzania. Villagers reported hearing strange growls at night, unlike anything they'd heard before. By morning, the horrifying evidence of this nocturnal predator was clear. Livestock slaughtered, people missing, and those who were found had been torn apart with such force and precision that it left everyone in shock. But it wasn't just the gruesome nature of the killings that astonished the villagers. It was the fact that the wounds didn't match any known predator. These weren't the typical bite marks left by a lion or the claw slashes of a leopard. Many of the victims showed deep, gouging wounds consistent with large claws, though these claw marks were reportedly deeper and more severe than those usually associated with known predators like lions or leopards. The width of the claw marks suggested that the creature's paws were larger than a typical big cat's, which raised questions about whether it could have been an unusually large feline or something else entirely. The bite marks on the victims' bodies were also noted as particularly large, suggesting a powerful set of jaws. However, medical examiners found that the positioning of the bite marks was unusual compared to known predators. While lions and leopards tend to attack the neck or chest, many of the Nunda's victims had bite marks on their limbs and backs. In several cases, the victims' bones were crushed, particularly in the skull and upper torso regions. The force required to inflict this kind of damage seemed excessive, even by the standards of large predators like lions. A few victims were found with missing limbs, seemingly torn off by immense force. This violent behavior further confused hunters, as such dismemberment wasn't typical of known predators in the area. One of the more perplexing aspects of the attacks was that in several cases, the victims were found mauled but not devoured, suggesting that the attacks were driven by aggression or territorial behavior rather than hunger. And then there were the tracks. Astonishingly, the footprints left at the scenes resembled those of a leopard, but were bigger than any lions. The locals knew their wildlife. They'd seen lions, leopards, and hyenas their whole lives, but these tracks were something else entirely. Witnesses claimed that they were wider, deeper, and appeared to belong to a massive feline far larger than any big cat they had encountered. Moreover, hunters following the tracks had noted that the creature walked with an unusual stride, wider than what would be expected of a lion or leopard. The Nunda was also very elusive. Hunters would follow fresh tracks, only for them to abruptly stop in areas where no other signs of the predator could be found. Witnesses of the attacks described a large cat, but with unusual bulk and muscularity, covered in a coarse brindled gray fur. The coat was described as coarser than that of a typical feline, which is usually sleek and smooth. Interestingly, several survivors and hunters remarked on the broadness of the Nunda's head and the muscular structure of its jaws. The creature was also described as having large, visible teeth. The fact that these descriptions came from experienced local hunters give considerable credibility to their accounts. These people had first-hand experience with lions, leopards, and other large predators, making their descriptions of the Nunda's unusual size, strength, and appearance especially valuable. British colonial officers were soon called in to investigate these mysterious killings. At first, they suspected it was just a rogue lion or leopard terrorizing the villages. After all, East Africa had seen its fair share of man-eating lions over the years. But the more they investigated, the clearer it became that this was no ordinary big cat. One of the officers, Captain William Hitchens, who was serving as magistrate in the village of Lindi, documented the Nunda attacks in meticulous detail. He even managed to recover a tuft of the strange gray fur from one of the attack sites and sent it off for analysis. The fur was unlike any known species in the region, further deepening the mystery. As Hitchens continued his investigation, more reports poured in of this incredible predator. According to the documented reports, the Nunda didn't just kill, it stalked its prey with terrifying stealth and intelligence. It would break into homes, dragging out victims in the dead of night. Unlike typical big cats, which tend to avoid human settlements, this predator was bold, even daring. It prowled right into the heart of villages, targeting humans without hesitation. It was fearless, cunning, and seemingly unstoppable. Despite the efforts of the British authorities, the Nunda evaded capture. Traps were set, and experienced hunters were brought in. But the creature always seemed to slip through their fingers. It would vanish into the night after each attack, leaving nothing but massive footprints, tufts of gray fur, and a terrified population in its wake. And then, as suddenly as the attacks began, they stopped. The Nunda seemed to disappear, as if it had never existed. But the fear it left behind remained. The British officials documented every detail, eyewitness accounts, the strange tracks, the fur samples, but no conclusion was ever reached. No body was ever found. No explanation was ever given. To this day, the true identity of the Nunda remains a mystery. Some cryptozoologists have speculated that it could have been a previously unknown species of large cat, or perhaps a freak mutation of a known predator. Based on descriptions of the coat, some believe that it may have been an unknown species closely related to the African golden cat, Prophylis aurata, an elusive feline that still roams the forests of East Africa, but much, much larger, as Prophylis is barely larger than a domestic cat. However, if we piece together some of the clues provided by witness accounts, some truly astonishing resemblance with a fossil African predator emerges. The saber-toothed cat, Mngwa. This cat could grow larger than a lion, with an estimated maximum weight of about 660 pounds or 300 kilograms. It had powerful front limbs that would have resulted in an unusual gait compared to modern felines, and was a stealthy predator living in forested environments. Based on its limb structure, Mngwa was also able to climb trees, which would explain how the Nunda's tracks on the ground could suddenly disappear. Importantly, the very large canines of Mngwa would match descriptions of the Nunda, claiming that it had very large visible teeth, and would also explain the unusually deep wounds found on its victims. Last but not least, isotopic studies on the teeth of Mngwa revealed that this large cat had a knack for preying on early humans. One skull of Homo erectus shows bite marks indicating that it was attacked from the front and top of the head, an uncanny resemblance to the type of wounds reported in some attacks of the Nunda. However, Mngwa reportedly went extinct about 400,000 years ago in the late Middle Pleistocene, likely because of the impact of climate change on its habitat. Or did it? Could a small population of these saber-toothed cats have survived in the dense forests of eastern Tanzania until recent times? Whatever the Nunda was, one thing is certain. It was real, and it left an extraordinary mark on the history of East Africa. The Nunda, or Mngwa, stands as one of the most compelling mysteries in the world of cryptozoology. A reminder that even in the modern world, there are still creatures lurking in the wilderness, waiting to be discovered. So, what do you think? Was the Nunda just a rogue lion with a strange coat, a freak mutation, or something far more incredible? A species unknown to science, or perhaps even a surviving saber-toothed cat? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more astonishing mysteries from around the world.